The Kola Superdeep Borehole in the Murmansk region of Russia is in the Guinness Book of Records as the deepest artificial point on Earth. It's been called a well to hell and one of the creepiest places on Earth. Unlike other boreholes created to extract oil and gas, the Kola Superdeep was primarily for science. Scientists hoped to use it to confirm or disprove theories about the structure of the Earth's lower crust. Drilling began on May 24, 1970. At first, everything went smoothly, but in 1984 there was an accident. The drill string broke. It was after this incident that talk began about a collision with the other world and the appearance of a hole to hell. American newspapers reported that Soviet drillers, having reached a depth of 14 kilometers, discovered a huge cavity where the temperature exceeded 1,000 degrees. Scientists decided to study the cavity. They lowered a special heat-resistant microphone. After working for only a few seconds, the microphone recorded terrifying sounds. The recording captured the screams and moans of hundreds of people. After this, tabloids reported, the workers fled in horror, and the project manager, Dmitry Azakov, refused to continue drilling. What we heard turned rational scientists into pathetic wrecks. These were sometimes faint but high-pitched sounds, which we initially attributed to our own equipment. But after adjusting the equipment, we found that the sounds were coming from the depths of the Earth. We couldn't believe our ears. We heard the voices of people screaming in pain. While one voice was clearly distinguishable, thousands, millions of suffering souls were also audible in the background, Azakov stated. After this, the media reported the Kola Superdeep was supposedly mothballed, and the audio recording with the voice from hell was classified. The Kola Superdeep became one of the most ambitious scientific projects in the USSR. There were years when 16 research laboratories worked on the borehole, and they were personally supervised by the Minister of Geology of the USSR, Alexander Sidorenko. Drilling proceeded smoothly to 7,000 meters, but after that mark, work began in less durable, layered rocks, and the borehole walls started to constantly crumble. The drill string often got stuck, and the drill head broke off and was cemented in place during attempts to lift it. Such accidents happened regularly, so drilling had to continue with a deviation. Because of this, the borehole resembles a tree crown with many branches. In 1983, at the 12,066-meter mark, work was suspended in preparation for the International Geological Congress. After research resumed in 1984, the most massive accident occurred, setting the scientists far back. They had to continue drilling from 7,000 meters. By 1990, a new branch reached a depth of 12,262 meters. The drill string broke again, and work was scaled back after that. In 1991, the borehole was listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the deepest in the world, and in 1994, drilling was permanently stopped, and the Kola Superdeep was effectively abandoned. Articles about the study of the underground depths were regularly published in Soviet journals, and, of course, there were no stories of heartbreaking screams from hell in them. But where did this legend come from then, since there were no similar projects in the USSR before? The first publication about the well to hell appeared in 1989 in a small Finnish newspaper that specialized in mysticism and paranormal phenomena. From there, the article migrated to a limited circulation publication of Finnish Pentecostal Christians. There were many factual errors in the material. The Kola Superdeep was called the Siberian Gates to Hell, although it was located in the Murmansk region. The borehole itself was made 2 kilometers deeper, 14 instead of 12. The actual temperature of 220 degrees was considered not impressive enough, and so 1,000 degrees appeared. The journalists also invented a microphone capable of working in such conditions, although in reality, acoustic studies of rocks in those years were carried out using a probe with a generator and a vibration receiver. From Finland, the sketch about the Soviet portal to hell migrated to American television. It was accidentally noticed by an employee of a large religious network, TBN, who was studying a selection of European Christian publications. The lack of evidence didn't bother the TV producers. The Americans declared that the Finnish newspaper was a respected scientific publication that was trustworthy. A Norwegian teacher who was living in America at the time saw the TV segment. Surprised by the gullibility of the viewers, he decided to play a prank on the channel. He wrote a letter to them, adding to the story information about a skeptical scientist, Dmitry Azakov, who came to believe in hell after the recording from the Kola Superdeep. The teacher even attached a photo of Azakov, cutting out a picture of a construction worker from a random newspaper. This wasn't enough for the Norwegian. After thinking, he added a demon to his version of events, which broke out of the shaft and disappeared without a trace into the night sky. The myth of the Kola Superdeep greatly impressed viewers. On the TBN broadcast of January 29, 1990, the host stated that the news helped convert 2,000 atheists to Christianity. The legend spread and reached the USSR. The real head of the borehole work, David Guberman, from the beginning of the 90s, was forced to answer questions about the moans of sinners and a monster that broke free in almost every interview. Even in his last interview in 2011, Guberman said that he still had to talk to journalists about devils and hell. In 2002, the myth of the Kola Superdeep got a second wind. A recording of those very whales came to a regional American radio station. In an email, a listener reported that his uncle was a paranormal researcher, and a secret audio recorded in the borehole had come into his collection. The relative supposedly received it from a journalist who worked in the USSR, and he in turn from some mysterious Russians. The attached sound was played during the broadcast, and soon it appeared on websites about mysticism and the supernatural, making the legend of the Kola Superdeep popular. In 2009, the horror movie 9 Miles Down with Adrian Paul was released, and in 2018, Lars von Trier added documentary footage from the borehole to the epilogue of the thriller, The House That Jack Built. In 2020, the Russian sci-fi film The Kola Superdeep was made. In reality, no screams of sinners ever existed. Enthusiasts found out that the recording was a fake, made from the soundtrack of the 1972 American horror film, Barren Blood. But does the Kola Superdeep have any real secrets? During the drilling of the borehole, many discoveries were made, so it's fair to say that it had its secrets. Here are a few of them. The composition of lunar soil was found to be almost completely identical to the rocks extracted from the Kola Superdeep at a depth of 3 kilometers. This confirms the theory that the moon could have broken off from the Earth due to an asteroid impact. At a depth of about 9 kilometers, deposits of minerals were found, including gold, 78 grams per ton. Gold mining is feasible at 34 grams. A new horizon of copper-nickel ores was also discovered. Scientists found that granite does not transition into a super-strong basalt layer but into Archean gneisses. This was a real revolution in geological and geophysical science and completely changed traditional ideas about the depths of our planet. At the 9 to 12 kilometer mark, highly porous fractured rocks saturated with highly mineralized waters were discovered. They are responsible for the formation of ores, and it was previously believed that this occurs at much shallower depths. In layers more than 2.8 billion years old, 14 types of fossilized microorganisms were found. This pushed the time of the origin of life on the planet back by 1.5 billion years. So 2,000 converted atheists are a trifle compared to what the Kola Superdeep truly gave the world. However, the legend about it is not so bad, because it became a source of inspiration for directors and writers, and many people are much more pleased with books and films than with new discoveries. The main thing is never to forget what is true and what is fiction among the stories surrounding the Kola Superdeep, a fiction that excites the imagination and tickles the nerves.